All right, guys, getting started on this fly here. Already set the lead eyes on, already set the intruder wire on. We are going for a little bit more advanced fly. We're gonna add some techniques, but it is certainly not going to be a hard fly. Still a great intro steelhead swing bug. All right, starting out in the back, little dubbing loop. Just gonna do a little bump of dubbing. Going with one of my favorite color combos, all black, little chartreuse hotspot. It's a good one. You should have some. Going real simple. A little bit of chartreuse ice dub. I want more than that. There we go. A little bit more chartreuse ice dub. Perfect. One of the things I like to do with these dubbing balls in the back is pick them out before I wrap them. Gives you a little bit more of like a, I don't know, a little bit more Hackle effect as opposed to just a dubbing ball. All right. Perfect. Cinch that off. And one more time, I'm just going to pick this out so it's not all tangled up on itself. There we go. Up next, silver pheasant, chartreuse. Go. All we're going to do with this, just lightly palmer it forward. We're probably not going to use this whole feather. We're just going to wrap it forward. Give our back station, or do that. Just break it right off before you get started. There we go. All right, let's try this again. There we go. First wrap's the hardest part. Perfect. And then for whatever reason, all the feathers that look the coolest are the hardest to work with. So sometimes these silver pheasant will give you one or two stragglers that you don't love. But there's an easy remedy to that. What we're gonna do, tie that off there, break it out. And if you just brush these feathers together, kind of the same as schloppen or any other webby feather, if you brush them together, what they'll do is kind of stick to themselves, take a little bit better shape. And if you have one or two that really just don't want to cooperate, just get rid of them. Easy enough. Okay, so that's our little back station hotspot. There's really not much to it. Makes the fly look pretty cool. Up next, copper wire. Fairly self-explanatory. I'm gonna wrap this one straight to the back. Come up forward again. So the reason that when I'm tying these materials in, I'm moving back up to about halfway, is it just makes the body a lot smoother for the finished product. You can go all the way back up to the head, but it tends to take a lot of time and waste some material. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Now we're gonna take it up, leave, I don't know, 1/4 inch, maybe a little less up in front there. I didn't even tell you what this is. We're doing black mini flat braid. Best body material out there. There's a bunch of different types and flavors of it. There's the hairline stuff, Lagerton stuff. It all does the same job. Okay. Go. Perfect. Now for our body, we've got this wire hanging out the back here. Just gonna do black saddle. Super easy, just like tying a woolly bugger. Take that one, strip off all the excess. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna tie it in by the base, wrap it towards the tips there, and that'll help build that body taper nicely as well. Tie that down, make sure it stays in there. Perfect. Just gonna do pretty open, spaced out wraps down the body. This is really just a space filler. It doesn't add a ton to the actual action of the fly. Take that wire. Counter wrap it. Once you get 1 or 2 wraps on there with the wire, you can just drop that feather. It's locked in there. I see people all the time hold onto their feather and try to wrap their wire with one hand. It tends to do more harm than good. Sweet. All right. We have got a little hotspot in the back, flat braid body, little hackle wrap just to make it look fancy. Trim that out of there. Perfect. All right, guys, sweet. Up next, we are going to run a little bit more advanced technique. We're gonna put fox in a dubbing loop, use it as our prop. So the purpose of this is to build a little bit more body on our fly, give it a nice propped up front station. It looks big and mean in the water, makes steelhead want to eat it. So I'm just gonna do a little bit longer dubbing loop here. And we're going to grab some fox off of the hide here. Quantity that I like on this is about, people say about a pencil width. If you pull it tight, that's about where we want to be. Another trick with fox is you've got these guard hairs, which are your kind of long string ones here. You've got kind of this intermediate level, and then down low you've got all of your underfur. We want most, if not all, of that underfur gone. The way to do that is to just pinch kind of your top third of your clump of fox, grab your comb, and then we're going to run it just straight through the bottom half of that. First couple are always kind of tangly. There we go. So all of that junk is not what you want. So now with this fox, right, the way we're going to measure it is we want it to be about the length of the body when you put it in your loop. So if we've got our loop here, we want our fox about that length. So the trick here is going to be throw it in the loop, measure it out to the length that you want it, and then we're going to spread it out just a little bit so you get a nice hackled effect to it. Trick here, you always want to have this pointer finger, your left pointer finger on here, holding that loop tight, otherwise it'll all fall apart. Bodkin or another sharp tool is going to be your friend here. We're just going to take this hair, spread it out just a little bit. What I like to do is be able to see color through this, so we're tying on a brown table. Once I can see through the whole section of fox here, we're going to be good to go. Don't want to do it too thin and too spread out, otherwise it's just going to make your life really tough. Next little tip here is going to be we don't want to cut it right on the thread. We want to give ourselves just a little bit of a tag. What that does is when you wrap it, it creates a nice little V, props that fox up even higher. I'm going to take that, chop it off, leave about, 1/8 of an inch or so. If you don't have sharp scissors, it's going to be really tough. These are starting to go on us. Oop, come on. Perfect. All right, end product going to look something like that. We've got our fox tips facing this way. We've got just a little butt section facing the other way. Now, most important part here is when you spin, you want to spin so that you have tension below where you're pinching, and then let it go slowly. Because if you spin without your hand in there, you end up with fox going all over the place, not on the fly. We're going to release a little bit of tension, get that spinning nice and slow. Perfect. So that's a good start. I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on it. There you go. From here, you want to pick it out again. Perfect. So that was a good spin. I like that one. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. There we go. So what you'll notice is that this is spun 360 degrees around the thread. So what we want to do is we want to pull it all back so that we can effectively wrap it. Best way to do it is just pinch that hair pretty hard. That way it'll stay where you want it to stay. We got that fox all pulled together, preened back in the right direction. We're going to wrap it up. Coming up and over, the trick to wrapping fox is to not let it get away from you. Always want to have that left hand involved, keeping everything nice and straight. And you do not want to wrap on top of another wrap of fox. You want to do these stacked one by one, moving forward on the shank. Perfect. Sweet. Always comes out a little messy right at the beginning. Take that, trim that sucker out. Come in here with our bodkin again. Pick out all those trap fibers. That'll make it look far, far better. Sweet, looks good enough to me. So next step, we're just gonna take this fly, we're gonna flip it. All this is gonna do is get us ready to throw horns on there. But first, throw a piece of black marabou. This one is already stripped down to where I want it to be, but normally what you wanna do is take all that fuzzy junk off of your piece of marabou. You're gonna tie it in by the tip. I'm gonna pull probably from right there or so. Throw that sucker right in. Perfect. All right, take this and wrap it up. Same as with your fox, same as with really any longer material. You always want to have that second hand in there, helping you out. Move this one forward, throw a handful of wraps in there. Now with this fly, we're just doing marabou, so we're gonna add quite a bit of it. If you were doing ostrich and marabou or two different colors of marabou, you might want to use a little bit less than what I'm using here. But since it's just a marabou bug, that's what we're gonna do. There we go. That guy trimmed out. Up next, we're going to learn about setting horns, which is not something that we've talked about a lot in any of our previous videos. Alrighty, so when you're picking out your saddle feathers for horns, for these ones we're just using natural, regular old grizzly saddle. So what you'll notice is that they're kind of medium width, not super nice hackle, not your silver grade dry fly stuff. There's a regular old grizzly saddle. We've also got the ends here are all stripped off. Rooster feathers, chicken feathers in general, but rooster feathers are kind of constructed in a little bit of a rectangle shape. So the trick to getting them to stay where you put them is to get rid of all those other fibers. So we're gonna go in here and just set them on a fly. And what you wanna do here is you wanna get them facing upright and kind of following the curve of your fly. So I already measured these out, they're the same length. So what I'm gonna do is just go right where that hackle feather and the stem meet We're going to tie that in flat on top here. A couple of loose wraps, make sure it sat down just right. Oh yeah, perfect. Take that, throw a couple more wraps on it. Going to take our second one on my side, same exact program. Get it set down there nice and easy. Make sure I got them the same length. Yep, perfect. And what I really like to do here is fold these hackle stems back over. They do tend to be a little bit slick since we took all those fibers off of them. So it's good to double them over, make sure they're not going anywhere. Try not to get that too mixed up. Ooh, there we go. Perfect, okay. Up next, gonna hit it with a little bit of flash, lateral scale, the only flash that matters. Just throw a couple of strands in here. It's not gonna be a super bright fly. Get those lined up the way I want them. Perfect. And the way we're gonna set these in, we're gonna go straight up over the top like this. We're gonna go around the eye of the hook and over the lead eyes. So what that does, it keeps them from pulling out. Also spreads them out nicely and gets them set in where you want them. Couple loose wraps with them on top, and then we're gonna pull them down around the eyes here. Ooh, slip. A little bit tighter loose wraps. There we go. Pull them down around the eyes, get them to the bottom of your fly. Throw a couple more wraps in there. What I like to do is just move them around now that I've got them in here. Separate them a little bit. A little bit more spread out. There we go. Flip it. Do that on the bottom as well. All right, cool. We've got a little bit more space here. We're just gonna fill it with a couple more wraps of that black Marabou. It's a really good frame to build your swing bugs on. You can do them, I'll do them sometimes with 2 different colors of Marabou. You can do them bright, you can do them dark, you can do them with a hotspot, without a hotspot. Just a really good build. If you can get this one right, it's a really good stepping stone as well. Moving on to spinning ostrich and rhea and, you know, throwing higher quality, but also tougher to use materials in there. Get that Marabou. Perfect. And what'll happen here is it tends to grab those materials you already have down. So it'll get your horns moving around just a tiny bit. It'll move that flash around as well. Trick with that is just make sure you tie them in well so that when you finish your fly, you kind of put them back where you want them. Tie off that Marabou. Swing and a miss. There we go. Perfect. All right, throw a couple more wraps in there. Make sure everything's setting up the way you want it to. Flash kind of bunched up on itself, so even once we're at this point and the fly is almost done, you can still manipulate and move things around a tiny bit. But it's looking just about right. I feel good about fishing that. Throw a quick whip finish on there. Get stuck around the eyes. And there you have it. A couple extra steps makes your fly look a whole lot better. There it is. Hope you enjoyed.